March the 9th through to May 15th, we're going to see Lord Mercury move through the sign of, yes, fiery Aries with those ram's horns. And he's up to some interesting developments there in his 2-month stay. We're going to talk about how this god of commerce, the mind, the intellect, ideas, sometimes scientific inventions, but also just news stories and messages, negotiations, and deals, is going to activate the chironic wound in your life and my life that was really an attempt to be healed, that one thing that wounds us, the one thing that holds us back from our truest gifts in the world. We were doing an attempt to inflame and heal that wound back on February 19th and on March the 5th, when the true node and the mean node came together in the sky in the sign of Aries, something we haven't seen since 1969. So we're going to have this energy of Mercury going back and forth over that same place where this occurred back in February 19th and March the 5th. I'm going to address that for your sign today to see how this might be a kind of, how the mind can make understanding or intellectually grasp what is going on, so you can sort of name it to tame it is something I just heard another astrologer use. And I love that. Her name is Catherine Urban. It's what she says to her kids, to name it, to tame it. And I'm like, yeah, if we understand what the thing is, it's, causing us a wounded quality in our life where we can't heal. And it's a wound that have developed in your life, by the way, starting in 2018-19 and is finishing up in 2026 as Chiron moves through Aries. We can name it, we can heal it, right? So we're going to talk about how Mercury might help us do that individually and, of course, collectively. Because it's both a story for everyone and it's a story for you individually. When you're listening to your individual sign, please listen for your rising sign first. It's going to be the most accurate. Then you can listen for sun to do with career and purpose, or father figures in your life, the moon for mother and mother figures in your life, things to do with the home, the nest, and the body. Alrighty? Now, hey, by the way, are you new to my channel? Welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am a Western tropical zodiac astrologer. This is not sidereal. I'm using the whole sign house system. And if you want to learn how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, which I would say once you go whole sign, you never go back, then check out my video tutorial in the description box. It's free. And I teach you how to do that with free online software that also allows you to find your rising sign if you don't know that yet, but you will need a birth time. Now, also, I'm only promoting one thing this month. It's in April, maybe about the 14th, in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. I'm teaching my fifth iteration of Sky Reader. So you want to join in and learn to be your own astrologer and time your best life, then come aboard. We're going to do that 6-week class with live calls with me, replay access, evergreen access to the content. And if you can't make it live, that's fine. Weekly live Q&As. Again, you get replays of all of those. And we also have a Facebook group. And this is maybe the last time I'll teach it. I'm not sure. But it is something I do enjoy doing. And because Mercury is retrograde, it is safe to do a class or a course or something you've done before in a retrograde motion Mercury. It's not even travel to places you've been before. It's something brand new you might want to watch out for. Why? And in the description box below is a link to get on the early bird discount notice waitlist and make sure that you get into the course by understanding when the cart opens. That course usually sells out within a couple of days. And that will probably be the tuition cart opening in mid to the 3rd week of March. Now, hey guys, I want to say Mercury's retrograding. That's why he's going to touch down with the chironic wound 3 times. Once in his forward pass, once in his retrograde pass, and once in his forward pass. Now, we will do a whole video on Mercury retrograde because it has its own super juice, right? But he's retrograde time frame just for your know what you want to know, everything you need to know. He starts on April Fool's Day. Hey, April Fools. He goes retrograde on April Fool's Day, April 1st, and then he is retrograding from the 27th degree of Aries, backtracking to 15 degrees of Aries. So that's his range of motion, and turning around from retrograde on April the 25th. So those first 3 weeks, a little bit plus of April, we have a retrograde planet. We have Mercury close to the Earth, wedged between the Earth and the Sun. Very magical, very powerful energy. And I can't wait to do my webinar on that retrograde as well. So stay tuned for that. I'll put a link to the webinar in the description link below. It will be free. Now, the other thing I want to mention here is that this is an elemental fire year. That's why I'm trying to look like, Aries, Sag, and Leo today. In my 2024 big playlist with Mercury expert astrologer Gary Caton, I really talk a lot with him about how this is a year in which Mercury like he did in 2017, spend 6 months of the entire year in the fire signs. So it is this time that he is in spring, right? Close to the sun, as he never gets more than 48 degrees from the sun, doing this retrograde in Aries. But then he will in August be retrograding and spending a couple months in the sign of Leo. And then in the fall in November, a couple of months in the sign of Sagittarius. And therefore, this is what we call the elemental fire year. And it lights up the trigon or the triplicity or the, trine energies of fire in your chart. So we can't not talk about how this is not just about your Aries zone of your chart. And that's one of 12 pie slices of meaning in your life. It's also really about the Aries, Leo, Sag, trigon, triangle, trine, triplicity of fire. So I'll bring that up when I do your sign. Now, some of you know that I am fond of mundane or world prediction astrology, using the astrology to look at world events. So I will mention that now. We'll start with that in the beginning, and then we'll move to your sign. I encourage you to listen for the beginning, because you'll hear the Sabian symbols for the beginning of the retrograde and the end of the retrograde. Gnarly beginning, happy ending. You'll also be able to listen to some of the asteroid stories that are going on in the sky in more detail, and then you'll have a better grasp or handle on when I go into your sign, so I don't have to repeat some of that content. So I encourage you to stick around. I'm going to try to keep the mundane astrology or world astrology limited at this time to maybe about 10 minutes. I'll hold myself to it, and then we'll move into the story of Mercury moving through Aries. Last thing I want to say. Normally, when Mercury goes through a sign for a couple of months, he makes a lot of angles to other planets, but not this time. The reason is he's in aversion. I don't do semi-sextiles and inconjuncts because these are aversions in ancient astrology, meaning the planets are not having any meaningful conversation. So he's really only talking to Chiron, the North Node, both of those elements in the sign of Aries, as well as Eris, okay, a major planetary body connected to the word war. We'll talk about her. She's been in Aries for a long, long time. She's very slow in her orbit, like Pluto. So she's getting direct contact with Mercury. But the only other real important celestial event that he does while he moves through Aries for 2 months is he connects to the goddess of victory and war and strategy and knowledge and wisdom, Athena. And in his connection to Athena, and sure, yes, he'll eventually have Venus moving into Aries co-present with him. But it is the connection to Athena that's very critical. And I will draw your attention to that Athena moment, which is around March the 4th, okay? It's going to be March the 4th. It might be March the 14th. I'll take a look when we get to the chart, because that's going to be the major thing that he does, the most important thing, other than connect with the North Node, South Node, North Node, South Node axis, the nodes of fate, where the eclipses are happening. And don't forget, in April, on the 8th, we have a total solar eclipse swathing across the United States, creating an X from the Libra eclipse in the fall, right in Texas. And this is meaning Texas is going to be a hot spot in the sky over the next few years for America. Of course, we got border crossing issues there. But on top of that, this eclipse on April the 8th at 19 degrees of Aries is happening well. Mercury is in attendance. So he's kind of a midwife as well for this eclipse. So it gives him extra weight. So we're going to go ahead and I'll show you the sky, and then we'll go for your sign. Don't forget, if you are new and you just new here, why don't you like and subscribe, because it helps me thrive. But also, I put out 30 or 40 videos sometimes a month, and I do all of my video content in a live premiere format, meaning that you can get down with me and have a nice little chat in the chat box while we watch the content together and ask me astrological questions, and I'll get to know you a bit better. And on that note, thank you to all my regulars, Lauren Delaney, Diana Boss, Michael Thrash, Misbehaving, Psychic Readings with Rose, Electric Lake, Monk of the West, Natalie Griffin, Boiling Frogs, Lady V. Tavora, Afternoon Delight, and many, many more of you who come on the regular to these live premieres, and we get to know each other. And I people from around the world, Africa, South Africa, Europe, and United States, of course, Canada. And I'm recording from Canada. I'm recording on March the 2nd for my Patreon community, where they get this content early access, ad-free, before you guys get it. For a mere $5 a month, I'm enticing you to come check me out, because I also have you get a Zoom call with me, and you also get 2 free courses, Chiron, the Key to Purpose, and Synastry, Are You My Person? I'm giving you those courses just for trying me out on Patreon. If you don't like it, you can leave with the courses. They're yours to keep, okay? 1 month, $5, you get $66 of value for nothing, just as an ethical bribe. Okay, just as a way to see if you like my content over there, which is more intimate. And I get back to your comments and we have a more intimate space together. All righty, let's get going and start the story now. Some of you have asked me to do a video on Kate Middleton. Others have asked me to do one on the Gaza-Israel situation. I will put those videos out there, but I'm noticing the algorithm doesn't love them, and that's not good for me here. So I'm also starting to put content out on TikTok this week. If you're on TikTok, come find me at Lunatic Astrologer, because over there I will be more confident that if I put out political content, there will be less of an algorithmic suppression or, just a kickback. There's a lot of trolling that happens these days when you put out content about world events that are controversial. All right. And I'm Canadian. When I talk about the United States in the next few minutes, I'm not making a statement about the United States. I don't care, really. I'm just an observer on the Canadian border, right? Trust me on that. I know you guys think I'm biased, but I mean, Trump or Biden, is that really a choice? All right. I am recording, right? Yes. Let's move over to the chart. All right. Let's get going. Here we have it. So first of all, I left a lot of junk in the trunk because there's a lot of planets here. I'm not going to keep them here, but I want you to see them now. It's a very busy sky. Yes, I've got some minor asteroids. That's ops for happy endings after time of difficulties. Wuhan about war and conquering, and also Wuhan, the COVID thing, and also up here, the asteroid America. That's going to be relevant to Mercury's transit through the sign of Aries. Here we have him ingressing or moving into Aries, 0 degrees, 0 degrees, March the 9th at 11:09 a.m. p.m. 11:09 p.m. in Washington, D.C. I put it for Washington, D.C. because I want you to see what it's like in the nation of Washington when the god of talk, communication, dealing, negotiation, contracts and agreements, commerce is moving into Aries. The United States happens to be a Sag rising, as does Biden and Netanyahu. And just so you know, this is a Sag rising. This is a Sag piece of sky up here. And there's the goddess of strategy and war. And she's sitting up there on the ascendant of not only Netanyahu and Biden, but also the ascendant of the nation of USA using the US Sibley chart. And it's interesting to me because Mercury loves to communicate, talk, and negotiate. And there may be, therefore, something going on March the 9th or so, 10th, 11th, 12th, all right? That's going to look like an attempt for some kind of ceasefire, negotiation, conversation, especially because Venus, the goddess of peace, is still able to witness Mercury. But when she moves into Pisces, she can't see him. And this goddess of peace, harmony, and peace treaties will likely fail to deliver a result. I'll show you what I mean as we move forward. Eventually, I'm taking out all of these planets in the sign of Pisces because they're going to distract you visually as I go through your sign. So you'll see those areas disappear shortly. All right. Second of all, this is Athena, and eventually, I think it is on March the 14th, we'll see shortly, there will be the potential for strategic conversations to do with war and engendering wisdom and knowledge through the sky. Some of you might know that 23 degrees of Libra is the rising degree of whom? Of the nation of Israel. You will notice, therefore, that at the time of the ingress in Washington, D.C., Israel is with the South Node in the house of open enemies and opponents based on the ingress moment of Mercury. Now, right now, as I record today, I'm on March the 3rd. I apologize. Kamala Harris has said to the world in a breaking news story, there must be a ceasefire immediately. And now Israel has a proposal before the Hamas people. Like, let's put it this way. There's a pressure going on. One of the cabinet members in the Israeli cabinet is now visiting with Biden, who's a moderate. And there's this pushback against Israel and its leadership right now in the sky, at least verbally, and maybe for Biden to save the election, right? Because he's at this point lost the election based on his stance with the general public, especially young people, especially the Arab communities, completely not wanting him to be elected this year. He won't be elected because according to the chart, he's probably not going to make it to the pedestal. His health, cognitive and otherwise, according to the eclipse from October 28th, and the Pluto square his moon, both of those factors. This is the same reason that King Charles has a health problem and will step down. So they're under the same duress on their moons in Taurus. I've predicted that long ago. Now, here's my thought. Because this Mercury ingress in DC is pitting the ascendant of Israel in the position of an open adversary or enemy, this is going to look like a strong pushback for some kind of contractual ceasefire agreements coming through the sky really, really intensely, let's say, for the first week or two of March. Now, I'm worried because you see Venus. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. Watch Venus moving forward, guys. Can you see her here? Do I need to annotate? Probably not, but maybe I should. But anyway, I want to circle Venus because she's here now. Mars is behind her. The god of love and god of war, anger and hate, separation and unity are now separating from each other. And you're going to watch what I'm going to show you. Oh yeah, I can't annotate and do what I want to do because the features don't collaborate with each other. So let's move forward and watch Venus cross this line with me, would you? This is called the mundane astrology. Hang in there. I promise you we'll do your sign, but watch what happens. There she goes. Now, she cannot witness Mercury, right? At all. Mercury may be trying to strategically communicate with Netanyahu, Biden, and USA because that's the ascendant place for all of them. But the goddess of peace is like, whatever, I'm not really paying any attention. I'm over here in Pisces and I cannot witness you. I'm in an aversion or an semi-sextile. So to me, that's like maybe there's a telepathic signal going back and forth for some, backroom secret deals and negotiations. Sure. Visible peace? I doubt it. So I don't like her here. She doesn't get over to the Aries portion of the sky until, let's move her forward. She's crossing in there about, now she's joining the peace treaty. No, she's in debility here, by the way. She doesn't like being in Aries. She likes to be in Libra. But now she's sitting in the house of open enemies for the nation of Israel. That can include, by the way, their perception that the Arab world in general, or or Iran is involved here, or Russia who's objecting, or China, anyone that Israel says is my open adversary. There's Venus, the goddess of peace treaties. And there's still, yes, Mercury moving back toward her, of course, because he's retrograding all the way back. He will retrograde all the way back, right, to the 15th degree. Let's just watch what Venus does as he's going to go backwards. Just do this with me, will you? And we'll see what happens. There he is. He's heading back to 15 degrees. Now he's at 7. Now he's at 15. Oh, we just lost Venus. Let's go back. How close do they get? There they are, 17 degrees. And 38 minutes, 17 degrees and 17 minutes. This is April the 19th. Now, what I want to see, is it possible that they will refrain or that they will actually connect? Refrainment means an almost, but not quite. But if I see Venus and Mercury together here, I could say peace treaty, right? Like you could make that assumption. So let's wait. Let's watch what happens. I'm going to see how close they're going to get, whether or not they will actually connect. Mercury's moving back toward her, and now he's at 1710 and she's at 1831. This is looking gnarly. Let's move us forward by hours. If they're not perfecting the degree of connection, then we may not see a completion of a negotiation toward a successful outcome. I want to see if Mercury can make the contact with Venus, but I think it's not going to happen. And it's good, but not great, right? We want them to completely talk to each other. Okay. I'm stopping the share because I'm going to make myself dizzy. I'm going to look for it. I'll be right back. Okay. So let's get into this whole story again and talk about what this could look like. I'm going to bring you back to the chart now that I figured out what's going on there. So it's April the 19th, guys. April the 19th at 17 degrees and 32 minutes. The goddess of peace and harmony meets with Mercury in the sign of Aries with the North Node, with Chiron, etc. It is a Chironic wound that's been activated for Israel. It's in their solar return chart with this particular disastrous outcome in the Middle East, right? And we'll do a whole video on that. So there is something going on to the Israeli people, it looks like, or to the Israel government, it looks like it's happening in the house of adversaries. There's an attempt to broker peace. It may be strong arm tactics. Have you guys ever met Venus's and Aries people? I'm sidereally Venus and Aries, Venus and Taurus and tropical. But I mean, they're very tomboy, very aggressive. They're Xena Warrior Princess. They're Laura Croft Tomb Raider. They're acting like very soldiery. And they're the female soldier energetically. And someone's forcing a peace agreement down the throat of Israel, if you want my humble opinion, somewhere around the 19th of April. Now, if we do end up with some kind of ceasefire agreement in March, this could be where the ceasefire is terminating and people are forcing a further agreement to complete the peace story. What is happening at 19 Aries is what's happening in the Sabian symbols at 20 degrees. I'm going to take a look at that with myself, and then we'll go back to the chart. Also, when Mercury does retrograde, he starts off on a Sabian symbol that I'm going to mention. Remember, we're going to do a whole video on that April 1st, and he finishes super strong on a wonderful Sabian symbol on the April 25th, right? So we'll talk about those, and then we'll do your sign. But I'm going to give you the 19 degrees. Here we go. Lori is looking for her chart. So we round up to 20 degrees in order to find, did I say it was at 17 degrees and 32 minutes? 17 degrees and 32 minutes on April the 19th. Now I'm going to go to the 18th degree of Aries Sabian symbol, and we're going to see what it says. So I'm going Aries 18. All right, the Sabian for Aries 18 is an empty hammock. All right, an empty hammock. Words are rumination. Okay, so then it's growing awareness and self-confidence that it's time to make a change inwardly or outwardly. All right. An empty hammock illustrates a state of suspension, deciding whether to dash off or do something on a wild impulse. Now, I'm going to give you the keywords that she uses for Aries 18 Sabian symbol in Elsie Wheeler's book, A Screen of Prophecy. Sabian symbol, Screen of Prophecy, not Elsie Wheeler's book, Diana E. Roche. Reflection, ponderment, meditation, suspension, waiting, pause, hesitation, poise, harmony, and balance. Now, harmony and balance, I'm going to take that. I'll take it. All right. When Mercury goes retrograde on April Fool's Day, April the 1st at 27 degrees, we round that up to the Sabian symbol 28 degrees. And that is a difficult Sabian symbol, I have to say. Okay. It is a large disappointed audience. If we're going to see a large disappointed audience April 1st, it's probably in our world over things that are upsetting the collective, the peace processes in various nations in the world, for example. So keep that in mind. And basically keywords for this disappointment is disillusionment, chagrin, dissatisfaction, dismay, frustration, letdown, discouragement, disappointment, and lack of harmony. So that's how it starts on April 1st with Mercury moving into retrogradation on the Sabian symbol that is aligned with 28 degrees of Aries. But I'm really heartened. I'm really heartened that on April 25th, as he stations direct at 15 degrees of Aries, also stationing direct on the north node of fate. I mean, seriously, where that eclipse is happening April 8th, he's stationing direct on the north node of fate, and the positive Sabian symbol on April the 25th, rounding up the 15 degrees of Aries to 16 degrees, is the following. I have a little marker in here. Where did it go? So, of course, there when you need it. The 15 degrees rounds up to 16 degrees of Aries, and what we get is brownies dancing in a setting sun, keyword invigoration. Brownies meaning fairies. Okay, in case you wonder what they mean back in the 30s. Theme is the dance of life. And then keywords, because I'll be doing a whole webinar on this for free. Check the link below. Animation, vitality, strength, energy, life force, health, nature, happiness, celebration, renewal, rejuvenation, the end and the beginning in one, a portal of solar mysteries. I am hopeful. I'm praying that would indicate that the turnaround on the node of fate, in a sign of war, is going to look good, because we're seeing that Sabian symbol active on April the 25th as Mercury stations direct on the node of fate. And as I mentioned, it is on April the 19th, just before that as well. We see the potential for the god of peace and harmony and peace treaties with Mercury, negotiations, communications, and conversations. Let's get back to the chart so you can see what I mean. All right. I forgot that I didn't take you back there. Now we're going to do your sign. And we're going to focus on the chironic healing for each of you. So this is it. You can see the two of them together at 17 degrees and 32 minutes. Some people do numerology, right? 7, 8, 10, 13, death and rebirth. That's lucky number 13. 13 is the number of lunations we have in a year. It's a very sacred feminine number, by the way. It's not to be afraid of. Jesus had 12 disciples and he was number 13. So it's not a scary number. Don't be worried, okay? Everyone is always worried. When you take a 13 down, it becomes a 4. 4 is a numerology connected to Rahu, the node of fate. This is happening with the node of fate right here. There it is. And that's where Mercury turns around at 15 Aries. And we will have the eclipse as well here at 19 Aries on April the 8th. All right, so let's get going and talk about what your sign might be about. If I have anything else to add in terms of the collective, Eris is the goddess of discord, and she caused the Trojan War by throwing an apple into a situation that caused chaos. Eris is the sister of Aries, the war god, Aries, Mars. And so he is like Mars. He's busy over here swimming in the Pisces waters on April 19th. He's like, whatever, war has gone on over there. I'm not paying any attention. But he can cause hardship in water, right? And that could be Houthis and submarines and bombs being tossed about water bodies, blockage of water and marine trade. That's all going on because of Mars with Saturn. And there is a pretty gnarly conjunction coming up as well in the month of April here. So we'll be talking about that in a separate video. But on top of all of that hardship in water and maybe bombs at water and submarines in water and difficulties in water, I had a dream about that. I don't know if I want to say that dream aloud here because I dreamt about the trade towers and it came true. And this is a dream I think that pertains to October, but we'll get to that in another video. I don't want to be a doomsayer, but also I'd like you to note here that Eris is sitting here at 24 degrees of Aries. That Eris is in Israel's house of open enemies, right? Sitting at 9 degrees in the 7th house of the nation of Israel. And this is an interesting time for Israel because that is being activated, that Eris wound in the house of open enemies and visible opponents by this whole story of the eclipses in this part of the chart. A lot of us understand that the eclipse that happened in Libra, October the 14th, activated Aries, Eris, E-R-I-S, as well as having Mars on the south node, as well as, being an eclipse to the ascendant of Israel. A south node eclipse brings disappointment and loss, as well as historically, anytime we've seen the south node cross over the ascendant of Israel, there have been major flare-ups with our Arab neighbors and their in wars that have started then. Don't forget, it was last in 1969 that we saw Chiron North Node conjunction, and we saw Chiron North Node in 67, 68, 69, when there was the war that happened, that Israel took land from the West Bank and Gaza, like they acquired property, right, in that war. And a lot of what the United Nations has suggested is that is just occupied territory, and Israel has to give the Palestinians a right of return. But instead, Israel has been putting settlements into those areas. Well, not Gaza, but the West Bank, and of course, territorially commanding, controlling, and therefore occupying economically and other things Gaza. You'll be shocked to know that the Gazans don't have an airport, can't get medical treatment outside of Gaza without special permission, don't have the right of freedom to leave their country, right? Can't go on a boat or a certain distance from their own country without getting arrested and put back in. They're penned in, right? So the open air prison or concentration camp is kind of key here. And I'm bringing it up because Chiron, right, and the North Node together in 1969 conjunct, right, a big energy, really intense. I believe that was when the conjunction happened, but we're co-present together in Aries during the 67, 68 timeframe when that war was happening. That is the big contention today, is the extra property that Israel now has. It does not really belong to them. All right, just letting you know, this is history. This is not my opinion. This is corresponding the astrology to different times in history. So there's a reckoning here. There's a reckoning, in my humble opinion, that Israel has to look at what has happened, how, the majority of the countries around the world say the Palestinian two-state solution must happen. Now that they've destroyed the hospitals, the infrastructure, the schools, more than 50% of homes are not inhabitable. They've made it impossible, right? That's the whole point, right? Impossible for Palestinians to go back home. So this is going to be an interesting development to see what happens here in April and March. Now, I want to move into, and so, Eris caused the Trojan War. Eris was activated in the October 14th eclipse. It happened to occur on the ascendant of Israel. Yes, the Hamas incursion happened on the 7th of October. Eclipses have an up to a month beforehand pre-shadow window in which you'll see events occur that are connected to the eclipse. Now we're going to do your sign. We'll save the deep dive into politics later for another time. I'm going to delete. You'll watch a bunch of stuff get deleted off the chart. We don't need things in aversion. Goodbye, Saturn. Goodbye, Mars. Goodbye, Venus, because this is where we're starting. Goodbye, Vestal Flame. Goodbye, Ascendant, Descendant, Midheaven. You'll see it all go away. We're going to leave Eris in there, of course. I'm not going to put the moon in, or really, I'll keep the sun there. Okay, so let's get going. I hope I'm not boring you guys with the mundane. Some of my people love it, and some people wish I would just get to the, your happy life story. All right, here we go. Let's start with Aries and then move forward. Aries, sun, moon, and rising. Oh, well, we don't need to put Mercury in the middle, but let's just show you one thing and then we'll move into your sign. I should have done this anyway. I wanted to show you that Mercury will flow to Athena, and that looks very auspicious as well for world events, but each of our lives. I might bring this up. Where can you be strategic and victorious in your life? All right, knowledgeable and wise in your Sag corridor relative to your Aries corridor, with this connection between Mercury happening on, I thought it was March 14th. Nope. Happening on March the 14th. I was right. So there's a special note to file that March 14th has special juice for all of us, okay? To do with some strategic thinking, masterminding, a strategy with knowledge and wisdom in order to accomplish something between our ninth house, our Sagittarius and our Aries part of our sky in our 12 Pisces of our natal chart. I will also mention something else. I would draw your attention to the dates I'm about to delineate, because today's video is focused on Mercury conjunct Chiron on March the 21st, write this down, March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. That's direct motion, retrograde, and direct. This is going to take you back to February 19th, give or take a few days, and or March the 5th, give or take a few days, when a chironic wound that's been active since 2018-19, let's go for 2019, I think it was February, that Chiron ingressed into Aries. And you've been dealing with that chironic wound ever since then. Okay, and that chironic wound is relative to your Aries chart. So again, March 21st, April 16th, and May the 6th is 3 parts of one story and one deep healing. Now, for those geeks out there, yes, absolutely, things can change here too. When you can also see Mercury going over the node of fate, the north node, and activating the nodal axis where the eclipses are happening. Those dates are March 19th, April the 26th. Now he stations on April 26th, so it's only twice. So to retrograde. So April 25th, 26th. So March 9th to 19th and April 25th, 26th, that's Mercury nodal stuff. But when we do the retrograde video, I'll cover that in more detail. Let's start with the Aries folk, okay? And let me move myself to the hours. Yeah. So, all right, Aries, sun, moon, and rising. I want to take Neptune out of there too, excuse me, because he's in an aversion. We don't really care what he's doing, right? Oh, maybe I don't. We'll keep Mars in there. It's his house. What am I doing? Yeah. Yeah, got it. All right. So notice that Mercury is ingressed into Aries, as I said. This is happening on March the 9th through to May the 15th. Just a highlight for each sign is to remind yourself that you have a strategic high point with decisive knowledgeable and wise action coming through your sky March 14th that may connect to universities, legal matters, colleges, far off lands and travel, third marriages, that's all 9th house stuff, book publishing deals, and ideas, communication, and information. Just remember that. Now, what's more important to everybody, and I'll cue us for that, is we're going to move into this time in which Mercury will co-join with Chiron. Let's get us ahead of the curve here and move us into that. I'm going to move us by day so we can see that, each of us, and we'll move forward. And I'm going to stay with this part of the sky so it's queued up for everybody. Mercury and North Node. I mean, Mercury and Chiron. So around here. So we're talking about the Mercury Chiron conjunction of March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. So Aries, this is a story then that puts you in a relationship to significant others, strategically perhaps, and how you want to handle your audience, client, marketplace, South Node, as well as heal something in your identity. If you want to go back, do so to 2019 February. Chiron entered into, I believe it was February 2019. Let me double check that since I'm delineating this. I apologize. I mean, it's my memory here. Let me make sure that's exactly when that happened. Yes, it's February of 2000. I think it was February 20th, but it's February of 2019. All right, back to the show. All right. So Aries, sorry about the chalky blockness here. So February 2019, you've been dealing with a chironic wound in your identity. Maybe you don't like your parents. Maybe you feel like you don't belong. Maybe you feel like the outcast. Maybe you feel like your mother rejected you. You have a chironic wound. Something is bothering you. It could be a health problem, or just in general health problems, especially true for the Aries moon and Aries rising, where these health problems can have been a bit of a problem since 2019. But just for the Aries rising in particular, an identity wound; for Aries sun, a career wound; for Aries moons, maybe a wound about home. So for me, I have an Aries career wound. I'm an Aries sun, Aries home wound. My moon is there. Yeah, I've been destabilized where I live ever since 2019, changing homes too often. So this wound that we've had here is trying to be healed on February 19th and March the 5th, when the North Node and Chiron intensify the wound in order to reveal, heal, and focus on it, really see the wound in action. And at the same time now, what is happening? Mercury's making it Catherine Urban, thank you. I'll keep crediting her where I heard the phrase, name it to tame it. Can you name it to tame it when you see Mercury activating the chironic healing around these elements of identity, and also how your identity intersects with your significant marriage partnerships, your significant marketplace audience or business alliances, looking across at the seventh house. This is important for you. And I would like really draw your attention in that case very strongly to how you might also be focused on your career if it's your sun, or your home life, and if it's your moon, and healing that in a very destined way. Again, turning points of naming the wound to tame it doesn't mean you get a new home or a new career or your body's all healed at once, although it could. It could also be you have a new, deeper intellectual grasp or understanding, Mercury, and ideas to heal it on March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. All right, I'm having a tech issue. Yep. This is the glitch with the AstroGold software. Let's fix that and put it into that proper mode that I did try to click the whole sign houses. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Yeah, now it works. Now it wants to cooperate. All right, Taurus. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Reminding you that March the 14th, Mercury opens up a strategic moment around ideas and decisions, or communications and conversations between backroom deals and negotiations and foreign people and foreign shores, or even your deep dream world, as Mercury in your 12th house is talking to strategic Athena in your 8th house. A lot of this can look for some of you like a powerful dream coming through with some really good strategic ideas. But on the other hand, it could be money issues and some strategic ways of dealing, Taurus, with your inheritances, your 401k, your finances, your investments, and a new idea that you're coming up with, maybe even through a meditation or insight, and you're developing a new strategy for handling those larger, longer gains of your money, especially, other people's money, the banks, mortgages, leveraged money as well, investment as well, money. But then, Taurus, what you're going to notice is that you're going to see that this is the chironic wound that wants to heal from that February 19th and March 5th nodal axis joining connection of the North Node Chiron. This is a wound in your chironic nature of your 12th house. It started in February 2019, goes to 2026, if I remember, and yet it's coming to a critical turning point in its healing. And that's your 12th house. Now, the 12th house is really like your unconscious mind, or the part of you that you're not able to witness most directly. It can have some impact here on your dreams at night and all of that. But on a practical note, for some Tauruses, it can be also jails, hospitals, and also things to do with your own self-sabotage, how you ruin your own life, how you sabotage yourself, how you put yourself in your own self-imposed prisons and dungeons. And, addictions can be here. So if you're a Taurus, you've been struggling since 2019 with an addictive substance pattern or habit, self-undoing and self-sabotage, this is your time to really begin to heal that. So look to the February 19th and March 5th timeframes around there to see what might be finalizing so that you can name it to tame it. March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th, the 3 passes of Mercury over Chiron during that window of his 2-month stay in Aries. And because this is an elemental fire year, this is activating your 4th, 8th, and 12th house, that trigon, which is really about your family wounds, your family of origins, your ancestral wounds, your childhood wounds, the wounds you have with your resources, money, or the esteem of others. The 8th house and 4th house and 12th are spiritual wounds. They're deep. They're underneath the surface of your identity. They're in your unconscious or your soul level awareness. Hey, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is the Mercury story moving through your 11th house of good spirit. And this 2-month stay, March the 9th to 15th, often looks like a time, by the way, in which you have a lot of changes in your friendship circles. Or you hear from old friends you haven't heard from forever. But more importantly, what I like about this story for you is that in the beginning of the story, March the 14th, Mercury will be very strategically aligned with Athena for this one-time pass. How can you be more strategic in your legal contracts, your dealings and negotiations, your way of approaching your audience and marketplace, and your significant love relationship? And at the same time, you're looking at that strategically on March the 14th. I always said March for the other side. It's March the 14th. You're going to notice that this wound of the chironic way of feeling like there's something wrong, it's in the house of belonging to your friendships. Since 2019, you may have felt like you don't really fit in anymore, like somehow that you're not a part of the crew, that you're non-belonging. I have my progressed sun here, and I could say that I felt that for a lot of different reasons. My progressed sun's in Gemini since 2019. I mean, yeah, so many ways I could tell you I did not belong, right? I was the outsider, the outcast in my friendship circles. One of them would be not taking a medical procedure that's not safe and effective during the pandemic. But there's so many ways I felt like the outsider, the black sheep. And many Geminis might be relating right now, right? So listen into that. Because if you felt like you didn't belong to your own dreams and wishes for your life, you had some chironic wound about the career gains that you were capable of receiving, or about the groups of people that were your friends and belonging or not belonging to them. This is healing, and it's a profound turning point, because on February 19th, there was an attempt to exacerbate or inflame the wound, as well as maybe March the 5th, as North Node Chiron came together, and you got to see more clearly where the ouchie was. And then whoosh, here it comes. Mercury is the name it to tame it guy, or see it to heal it guy, because your ideas and understanding and ways to heal it are going to come up for you on March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th, give or take a day on either side. That's when Mercury will come back into contact with Chiron, back and forth, forward, retrograde, and forward. It could look like hearing from friends you haven't heard from a while. It might be reconnecting with old friends. Maybe great and very deep, important conversations with old friends. This applies to elder sibling relationship as well, the one sibling older than you. Oops. And just reminding you that this is an elemental fire year. I mentioned it in the beginning. Go watch my Gary Caton video from my 2024 Big Transits playlist. He's firing up the triangle of your friendship. It's all your relational houses, okay? It's how you relate to self, other, and your audience. These energies are on fire for you in 2024. Keep that in mind. You're focused on relating to others. That's the key. Yourself, your inner relationship, self to self, one-on-one, marriage type relationships, and also the relationships with large groups of people and your audience and marketplace. That's the vibe for what you are really attending to during this elemental Mercury fire year. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. You've got this Mercury transiting for 2 months there, March the 9th to May 15th in your 10th house of career and reputation. So obviously, you got a lot of focus up there. You might be doing a lot of communicating with colleagues, coworkers, bosses. If you have an audience with your audience, you might also be doing a lot of ideas and changing of your mind up here, back and forth. Go this way, go that way. All that's possible. Pay attention to a strategic March 14th when you align with Athena. This is strategy with work routines, health routines, and work and reputation matters. You're being wise and strategic around the 14th of March. Then we have the healing of a chironic wound in your house of reputation and career. Some cancers have found that they're not on their game, right? Since February of 2019, you're like, is this really my best job, calling, career, reputation? Am I on target with my best purpose and gifts and skills? And the inflammation of that wound on February 19th this year and coming on March the 5th, 24, is to bring your attention to it, because then Mercury wants to mop up here. So pay attention to how you might name the wound to heal it, name it to tame it, or how you may indeed have a new idea or understanding of this wound, and maybe have new like Mercury rules ideas, so you might be coming to new ideas about how to resolve this Chironic career and reputation wound. March the 21st, he goes direct over Chiron, April 16th, retrograde, and May 6th, direct. So those dates are important for you in this journey of transforming that Chironic career wound. It's an elemental fire year with Mercury this year, 6 months in fire, and therefore you're focused on the Artha houses of your money, your daily work and health routines, and your career and reputation, reminding you this is part one of a 3-part story this year. It unfolds again in August and November as you fire up the triangle of the Artha houses, or the career and work and money houses of your life. All right, let's go for Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a 2-month stay from March the 9th to May 15th of Mercury in your 9th house. Tends to mean you're very busy with international travel, going back to places you traveled before, school and educational matters, maybe book publishing or legal contracts as well. You felt a chironic wound here, by the way. We're going to get to that. Since 2019, but just a reminder of a little thing called a strategic moment here on March the 14th, as Athena in your 5th house of children, lovers, romantic partners, sexuality, gets an entrepreneurial creative projects, gets very direct with Mercury, and asks on the 14th of March for some kind of strategic wisdom that you wish to apply to foreign shore travel, to things to do with your educational goals, things to do with your ideas and book publishing, all of that. But coming off of a creative house and an entrepreneurial house, it could indicate some movement forward here for some of you who are in the book publishing industry in a very strategic way. Athena can look like lawyers here, lawyering up to get a book contract, that kind of thing. Now, you've had a chironic wound since 2019. Right, 2019, you've had a chironic wound in that 9th house, and that's deeper. It's a dharma wound. What's your purpose? What's the meaning of your life? What are you? Do you have a wound about your educational choices post-secondary school? Do you have a wound about a father figure in your life? Do you have a wound in Vedic astrology? 9th house is father figure. Do you have a wound about legal matters, court cases, travel, foreigners, foreign destinations, book publishing? If you do, since 2019, look back to February 19th of this year and also March the 5th for the inflammation of the wound that then becomes, name it to tame it. Mercury's mopping up here as he crosses over Chiron on March the 21st, and then retrograde April the 16th, and then direct motion May the 6th. This is the big Mercury attempt to solve a problem that you have in your 9th house. Okay? And maybe get rid of that chironic wound once and for all. It's an elemental fire year, and you're firing up houses 1, 5, and 9. These are Dharma houses. A lot of Leos are looking for the dharmic path, the meaning of your life, the way you wish to express your unique talents and gifts and skills in this world. And in your case, it can fire up a desire for education and learning. Hey, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You guys, Lord of your sky, Mercury, very, very busy for 2 months. March the 9th to May the 15th in your 8th house of chunky money. Certainly there's a chironic wound here. We'll get to that. But also note that on March the 14th, there will be a strategic email, phone call, discussion, idea between Mercury in the 8th house and Athena in the house of land, property, and real estate, also legacy wealth. For some of you, it could be a strategic agreement regarding parental or familial money. Or maybe for some of you, just because of Mars's position at the time, No, yeah, could even involve rental agreements and contracts being negotiated or looked at squarely on March the 14th. And all through the lens of money, all through the lens of how much is fair or affordable. Other people's money, money you share with your partner or spouse, are in the strategic discussions as well. And you're looking at strategic discussions regarding your domestic private life and your finances as well on March the 14th. Then you can say, I have a chironic wound in my chunky money house. Like what? My spouse won't share the money with me. My bank doesn't want to give me the loan. I can't get that mortgage I need. I have a wound about my inheritance monies. I have a wound about my, money that doesn't belong to you. My debt, my credit card debt's really bad, that kind of thing. So Virgo, this chironic wound about the money story, it's been playing out since 2019 and will complete in 26. This is also the energy that was activated and maybe inflamed on February 19th, give or take a day, and on March the 5th, give or take a day, because that's when Chiron and the North Node conjoined in the true and mean node context. And that's rare. Listen to the beginning of the video. You see how rare that is. And this is opening up your story in a fundamental way to healing this money wound, which is also connected to some deeper sense of one's worth and values, right? And we'll see Mercury try to give you a name it to tame it, or an idea, or a new understanding, or a new intellectual grasp of this wound and how to maybe resolve it with ideas on March or negotiations on March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. Those are the three mercurial passes. Now, don't forget what we have here is Mercury is in an elemental air year, and he's opening up doors in your moksha houses, which is about your deep spiritual work, your soul, undoing your ancestral curses, and understanding your family of origin, childhood wounds. A lot of Virgos are peeling back the layers from your mother, from father relationships, from the way your life went because of your family growing up, because of your past lives, maybe. It's a deeper investigation of your own psyche and unconscious. And keep that in mind, because that's playing out August and November as well, as we keep seeing Mercury retrograding in his fire signs this year. And we saw that in 2017. I covered this in the beginning of the video in more depth. Hey, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign is a sky that opens up 2 months. Mercury, March the 9th to May 15th, trundling through your 7th house of significant relationships in business and love, but also the way you meet your audience and marketplace. Maybe you have been unmarried, unwed, or traumatized by love and relationships since 2019 when Chiron began moving through your 7th house. Look for some strategic ways to heal that on March the 14th when Mercury flows to strategic Athena. Can you heal a relational wound through a travel, journey, educational opportunity, through an email, phone call, or something that you read online? Can you heal it because of a connection to a neighbor or sibling? Then when we move forward, though, we're moving into the idea that on February 19th and March the 5th, there was a lot of intensity around this chironic wound that started in 2019. And you may be faced more squarely with it. You may be looking right at it like, oh my God, like, look at this. I don't trust I don't trust my marriage partner. I don't trust marriage. I don't like the institution. I don't want to partner with someone. They always let me down. My audience, my marketplace, and my clients are terrible, and I can't stand them. They're mean to me. I don't know what your wound is here since 2019, but you got it. And now on February the 19th and March the 5th, they inflamed. And then here, Mercury names it to tame it. He's going to help you see, understand, intellectually grasp, and maybe come up with ideas for healing this wound once and for all. March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. Those are his three passes: direct, retrograde, and direct, over Chiron, and helping you come to terms and conclude this problem. Remember, this is a elemental fire year. You're really active in houses 11, 7, and 3. These are relational houses connected to self and on self introspection. In other words, understanding yourself, a relationship to yourself that's positive, to significant others one-on-one, and to one and many. So the big relational axis is alive and well. Okay. And therefore, you might be focused a lot this year, April, August, and November, in the way you relate to others. Particularly, this is how you relate to your significant primary other, audience, and marketplace. This is an elemental fire year, last seen in 2017 for Mercury. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky, we see this chironic wound that opened up in 2019, February, in your sixth house of work. Some of you Scorpios just felt like you weren't on the right path with your colleagues, coworkers, or in the work environment. You're in the wrong job, maybe, or something like that. But also your health and health routines have been suffering as well. Maybe some wounds around pets and tenancy and rentals, and also debts, right? Whether you owe someone or they owe you. Now, technically, this is coming to some serious attention in this year. We're going to go into it again, even though I introduced the ideas in the beginning. This wound wants to kind of really terminate and heal because of this North Node conjunction, February 19th and March the 5th, to Chiron, the wound itself. And therefore, it may have been inflamed or more intensified at those times. And I feel like it's Mercury's job to come in and give you the name it to tame it, ideas and clarity, wisdom and intellectual understanding to make a shift in this area of your life. And, there's a karmic quality of the sixth house. It's your karmic debts, and so you pay the debts by doing service to get the rewards of your 11th house. So a lot of this is very karmic and intense for you. And a lot of you might felt like I've had health challenges since 2019. This is a house of sickness. Or gosh, my pet I don't have a pet. I want one. Or my pet's been challenged. Or I don't like my pet. Whatever's going on. I hate my rental properties. My rental situation's awful. My home situation's awful. I don't know, something like that. So I want you to pay attention, therefore, to what happens on March the 14th, when you get some strategic wisdom in your earnings and money house. Okay, and also with regards to what you eat and ingest and put in your mouth, smoke cigarettes, drink wine, but also just food, and a strategic approach and a wise approach to changing that to better your health on March the 14th. That's the good old Athena and Mercury connecting. But then this name it to tame the wound, name it to tame it, is March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th, where Mercury direct on the 21st, retrograde on April 6th, and direct on May 6th, is beginning to work your intellectual understanding. And sometimes, Mercury in the sixth house could be phone calls, emails, and text messages in the work situation, or with health providers that are helping you clear something up here. And this is an elemental fire year, right? Or you could buy a pet. This is an elemental fire year. And this is important because we saw this in 2017, where Mercury fires up a 6-month stay in fire signs. And in your life, it's about work, money and earnings, and career and reputation. These houses are 10, 2, and 6. And, 10 gets activated in August, and your career and reputation. In November, it's a lot of energy in your house of your earnings. So this is where you're really focused here to heal something that's very much about the fire signs as well in this part of your life, in this time of your life. Hey, Sagittarius. Now, May 9th through the 15th March 9th to the 15th of May, Mercury starts his story of his journey through your fifth house. Now, because of all the retrogrades, and we'll do a retrograde video. Yeah, it's the old classic, hearing from an estranged child, hearing back from an old lover, a sexual partner you haven't heard from a long time ago. That's classic fifth house Mercury, especially retrograde. And, we'll do a whole video on the retrograde, right? But the general vibe is he's activating a lot of energy where there's been a chironic wound since 2019, February, where Chiron is wounding you in the relationship to romantic love, sexuality, creativity, entrepreneurship, children, pregnancy, fertility, meanings of the fifth I've just delineated. And this is a wound that wants to be resolved or come to a conclusion because of the inflammation of the wound, the salt in the wound, maybe February 19th and March the 5th, give or take a few days, when the North Node, true and mean, was making contact with Chiron, inflaming, exacerbating, intensifying it. And you might go back on your calendar and look to what happened in those times regarding this wound of love, romance, children, fertility, creativity, procreativity, enjoyment, inspiration, and fun. I bet you haven't been having fun in your life since 2019. Now, with this energy, you're going to notice that Mercury wants to name it to tame it. So become intellectually, mentally aware of what the actual problem is, give you new ideas, and negotiate results for healing it. On March the 21st, direct motion over the chironic wound, April 16th, retrograding over Chiron, and May 6th, going direct again. Those dates can be critical stepping stones towards this healing. Because it's Mercury in the fifth house, you may heal because of a phone call, conversation, or email with a child, with a former lover, okay, with some artist that's involved in a creative project with you. You can also say that on the bigger, broader story of the fire element being so active in Mercury's elemental fire year in 2024, not seen since 2017. So it's the first time you've been chironically wounded while he's in an elemental fire energy. You're really opening up the houses 1, 5, and 9, the Dharma houses. What's the meaning of your life, purpose of your life? Are you on track with your unique talents and gifts? Are you in alignment to your true north? That's the big theme that Mercury keeps addressing in August and November when he does Leo and Sag. You're really going to dive into this. Like, am I on purpose? Am I on track? Is this my Dharma? Am I on the right direction with my life? Big, big questions for you. Let me take a sip of my very cold tea. If you're asking me what it is, it's juniper nettle and hibiscus. I made my own custom blend from some other custom blends. Oh, and mint. Juniper nettle, hibiscus, and mint. All right, moving on. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Ignore the minor asteroids. These guys are there for the big picture story, and I didn't really talk about it. So, okay, number 1. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is that you have had a chironic wound in your 4th house since 2019 February. That's about your home. Where do I live? Where's my true home? Where do I belong? Do you feel like the outsider, the black sheep, the outcast, the exile? Do you feel like you don't have a home that you can really feel at home in? That's classic stuff when you see Chiron in a natal chart in a 4th house. I usually say to the client, did you feel like a changeling or the black sheep in your family? And did you feel like you landed from another planet? And they always say, yes, absolutely. So, this is a temporary state for you, the 19th of the month. I mean, the 19th of 2000. Sorry. 2019, right? But it's been inflamed this year. Go back and feel the inflammation of what has been going on here on February 19th and March the 5th as the Chiron nodal conjunctions were happening. And you may have been looking squarely at this wound of belonging into a home environment. That can be a home, a homeland, it can be your nest, your property, where you can hide out, go to sleep, tuck yourself in under the covers, be alone, find your quiet space. Now, there's a little strategic help going on here. I covered this for everyone March the 14th when Mercury will flow to Athena. And you're trying to be strategic from people. You can say you could find more healing of your true home regarding foreigners, foreign countries, and foreign shores individuals, or deep soul work or deep dives into meditation in your dreams as Athena in your 12th, connecting to this chironic wound of belonging. And that's around March the 14th. Certainly there could be emails or phone calls from a foreigner that help you heal this wound as well. Then we move forward, though, into the idea that this February 19th and March 5th wound that got exacerbated is going to be a name it to tame it Mercury narrative as he gives you new clarity, intellectual grasp, and understanding, but also maybe ideas or means to heal it. March the 21st, April the 16th, retrograde, and May the 6th going direct over Chiron. Therefore, you may be very able to square away with this because it's square your ascendant and move past this chironic wound of not being in your truest home and belonging and feeling like you belong to your home and homeland. It is an elemental fire year, and therefore you are on fire in houses 12, 4, and 8, the moksha houses of spiritual liberation. You're divesting from your childhood, family origin, and tribe, from your egoic consciousness, and from the illusion of reality into, getting clear of the Maya or the Lila. This is what some of you may actually attempt to do here, but that's the energy of those houses, 12, 4, and 8. They're soul work houses, but they're also connected to some other elements of legacy wealth, money, inheritance, and money you can get from foreigners and far off places commercially by engaging in borderless income or barter and trade. And that's one energy that's very alive in your chart that you haven't seen since 2017. So if it's about the spiritual stuff, wonderful. But if it's about the money stuff, we're really looking at foreign lands, foreign shores, legacy wealth, inheritance, chunky money, commissions, pay, and all that really being a focal point of this year. You'll see some of that active in August and November as Mercury goes through Leo for a while, and also in November through Sagittarius. These are, seasonal April, August, and November stories that really light the fire up, not seen since 2017. Hey, Aquarius, I am one of you. We have this 2-month stay, March the 9th to May 15th, of Mercury moving through our third house of writing. Certainly Mercury writes. It's also skills-based teaching. I'll be teaching Sky Reader here. I've taught it before. That's why I'm opening doors on a retrograde Mercury. No harm, no foul. But it's going to open up a lot of intense energy and focus for 2 months in travel, teaching, writing, communicating, social media, online world, neighbors, neighborhood, childhood friends, and younger sibling. These are on the docket. This is what Mercury's traveling through the third house doing. Also, your fishbowl you swim with, very busy with stuff in your daily life. Hi, Mr. Postman. Hi, lady at the grocery store. Hi, Starbucks barista. You're my people in my local hood. See you on the daily. That's very busy stuff, right? Maybe more sociability in the local neighborhood with local people. But anyway, moving into the deeper story here, you're going to look at this chironic wound that opened up in 2019 about not really feeling like you belong or there's some kind of problem here. I haven't written a damn thing worth writing since 2019, right? So I've got a writing wound as an Aquarius writing. I'm rising. I also got a neighborhood wound because I've been moving around and I don't know where I belong. And maybe some woundedness too around my childhood friendships, for example. So you look at where that wound has been since 2019 in your chart. Also short distance travel. And I got stuck with because I chose not to take a not safe, not effective medical treatment during the pandemic. And I live in Canada where for 8 months or more, we were any of us people who didn't comply were not allowed to go on trains or planes within our own country or out of it. I felt a frustration, right? A chironic wound in the house of short distance travel and neighborhood. I couldn't go to restaurants. I couldn't go to gyms. I couldn't go to movie theaters. I was locked out for 8 months of anything in my local neighborhood. That's just such a practical example of that wound. So there's something here that's needing to be healed. And it might on February 19th and March the 5th have been inflamed or will be inflamed because maybe you'll hear this video before March 5th. And boom, you're looking at this wound squarely in the eyeballs and you're looking at the wound and you're wondering what to do with the wound, right? It's inflamed. But now I think Mercury comes in and mops up with some ideas and intellectual understanding, or to name it is to tame it. I already credited Catherine Urban for that. Lovely little expression. I think I'll try to have her on my channel. She's quite lovely. And bottom line, you're going to look at the dates, therefore, of the following. March the 14th. Can you be strategic about this wound? That's when Athena, the goddess of strategy, in the house of benefactors, allies, elder sibling, people who want to help you, great gains in your career, dreams and wishes and hopes, right? Large groups of friendships. Athena can look like a very strategic friend, advising you around March the 14th about how to deal up this chironic wound in the house of the third house, neighbors, neighborhood, writing, all of that. But then, deeper and more importantly, Mercury crosses over Chiron 3 times. March the 21st, direct, April 16th, retrograde, and May the 6th, direct. And this opens up this name it to tame it, ideas, negotiations, communications, emails, phone calls, texts, any of those things that help you heal the chironic wound. And so, look, especially the third house, that's like websites, social media, an Instagram message, a text message, a phone call, or an email for sure for you coming through March 21, April 16th, and May 6th, different people, different times, maybe, a series of messages coming through for you, or trips you want to take on March 21st, April 16th, and May 6th, right? I'm going to be doing the El Camino May the 6th, for example. And these are going to help you establish a cure for what ails you here and return to a baseline of okayness. Finally, it's an elemental fire year. It fires you up in houses 11, houses 3, and houses 7. These are relational houses. How do you relate to yourself, your one-on-one partnerships, and you on many, your friends and groups of belonging. These relational energies are highly active as you fire up a way since you haven't experienced since 2017. These matters because the 7th house is your marketplace and audience for some of us. That's also another kind of relationship, as well as significant love relationships, as well as business partnerships. And of course, a relationship to an elder sibling, one above you, if you have one, would be up here. We're going to feel this relational fire energy kicking in all right, on in August and also in November, when Mercury spends a lot of time here in your seventh house of significant relationships and here in those larger groups of belonging. So you're fired up on all cylinders, and you haven't seen this energy since 2017. But this one with the Chiron involved in it is also to heal more deeply these kinds of relationships in your life, including how you relate to your very own self. Hey guys, this is the old Pisces sun, moon, and rising folk, and best and always best. Sometimes last, but never least. You got to look at this as a journey of healing a wound of self-worth that began in 2019 when Chiron entered into your 12th house. Now Mercury's going to be cleaning it up. We have Mercury, by the way, for 2 months, March the 9th and May 15th, in your earnings house, back and forth. You may hear from old colleagues, co-workers. You may have work and money opportunities from the past come back to you. You may be doing a lot of ideas and thinking, negotiation and contracts regarding work, especially on the 14th of March, when strategic Athena in the 10th house of career and reputation flows to Mercury. Look to March 14th to be like almost like a negotiation or opportunity for some career advancement. But nonetheless, you've been feeling an earnings pinch as well, because not only is your values and self-worth and self-love and acceptance maybe in your second house, it's your voice, vocation, and calling, and the earnings you derive from the voice, vocation, calling house of speech, your second house. So you may have had a wound around your food style, your face, how you look. That's all true since 2019, what you're eating, what you're not eating, what you shouldn't be eating. But you also may have a wound here about your earnings and your possessions and how you have enough to, basic needs of Maslow pyramid, have food, shelter, and water. And so this chironic wound for the Pisces risings, especially sun, maybe in context of career, moon in context of body and home, this chironic wound is coming to a real critical point. Go back to February 19th and then March the 5th, when the North Node, true and mean, co-joined with Chiron, inflaming the wound, salt in the wound, intensifying your attention to the wound. And then you'll notice that Mercury wants to help. Mercury comes through this part of your sky, and on the following dates activates the chironic wound, giving you a name it to tame it, or a new understanding, a new way of coming up with ideas, but maybe phone calls, emails, etc., especially from 10th house people, maybe employers, former colleagues, etc., that allow you to come to a conclusion around this. March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. March the 21st, April the 16th, and May the 6th. Look for those as pivot points, and maybe, yes, phone calls, emails, etc., right? Because that's what Mercury does, that allow you to step away from the wound and into something more whole. This is an elemental fire year. You're all fired up in your houses 6, 10, and 2 Artha houses, houses of earnings, money, career, resources, and material and worldly success. That's what you're aimed on in this elemental fire year. You were in this elemental fire year in 2017. It is back. Look for critical turning points in these features then in April and May, in August and September, and in November and December, when you're going to find your Leo and your also in the fall 10th house are activated. So big changes in these parts of your chart, especially, the energy here can look like a lot of Pisces are looking at new money opportunities, job opportunities, and career directions as a result of this elemental fire year. Some of it coming from the past, like rehabbing an old career path or an old job path. And also lastly, health, because 6th house of sickness is activated and you've got the chironic wound in the food house. Are you smoking something you shouldn't? Are you drinking something you shouldn't? Are you inhaling something you shouldn't? Are you eating something you shouldn't? Time to make a change. It is excellent for you, especially with this ingress of Mercury into Aries with Mars in the house of addictions. A lot of Pisces have to get rid of some self-sabotaging habit, pattern, or addiction. I hope that this was a good introduction to Mercury moving through the sign of Aries for 6 weeks. I am now going to quit my job, go out, do some exercise of some sort at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on March the 3rd. I'm fighting something off. I hope you guys can't tell. I've been sleeping like a dog for 3 days, like a log, like a dog out, like after a hike, you just crash. Scratchy throat, headache, a little bit weird feeling. So, but I'm on my vitamin C, my D, all my good stuff, my zinc, really pushing through it. But anyway, thanks for hanging in there with me. If you're listening this long, don't forget, if you have any kind of desire to learn astrology, Sky Reader starting about Probably the 14th of April. That's what my decision. It'll run for 6 weeks with 1 week off between so that we can all catch up on the first 3 modules. And the class gets different content added every time I teach it. It's the same class, the same curriculum, but with new content every time so that I can, make it better and better. My 5th time teaching it. So check it out. You might want to jump aboard. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. The description box below has everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about readings with me and about classes with me, about my Patreon community and about my Sky Reader. I am unfortunately all booked up. I don't have any room for new clients. I'm going to open new doors in August through the fall. I'm now taking June and July off because of travel plans, but I apologize. It's nothing I can do about it. I got like a 1,600 people wait list for the doors that are going to open up. If you want to get in with me, it's easier to get in with me if you're in my Patreon community because I give them first opportunity, or if you're a former client. But then also my general public, I'm trying to open up spots just for you coming through in August, September, October, November. If you're interested, just get yourself on the wait list, or I'll put you on a mail list, and I'll let you know when the spots open up. All right, thank you. I have a jump ahead of the queue. It's called my Priority Pass on Mondays. And for $397, you can get in for an hour with me and jump ahead of the wait list, right? That's there as well. That's been going well. I do have people booking on Mondays. I'll probably keep it open through some of the summer, even when I'm not seeing clients on the regular. So if you're desperate to see me, try the Priority Pass. It's on my website. Where's my website? It's in the description box below. Where's the description box? Click the more button. People say, where is that? I can't believe people on YouTube and you don't know there's a box that gives you everything about the person you're watching, everything about them that you need to know. Yeah. All right. Ciao, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I am recording, on March the 3rd. I think this is going into the public on Mercury's Day, Wednesday, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Okay. You're probably watching this on the 6th if you're on my channel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.